What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And Bitcoin is pumping right now, so I wanted to drop this quick market update and give you guys my thoughts on where I think price is going next. If you tuned into the live stream last night, you will know there was one signal we were looking at on Market Cypher B as our last hope to see a bigger pump to the upside. And as Bitcoin breaks above a key level of resistance, I want to talk about the main target I will be looking at, as well as some of the local headwinds we might face if we continue to the upside, because there is some local resistance before we make it up to that bigger target. So how high can Bitcoin go? Let's jump on into the charts and figure it out. Let's get into it. So guys, here we are on the Bitcoin chart, and as you can see, Bitcoin is just gotten a pretty big pop to the upside. We got a big dump down here around 10 a.m. to wash out all those long positions before putting in a higher low on a very, very key level here, guys. As you can see, if we pull our Fibonacci retracement from our swing low to the swing high here, you can see we got a little bit of a pump earlier this morning, and then we got that dump into our key level of support, which was the golden pocket 786 Fibonacci retracement, which is typically the area that we look for higher lows to get formed before getting a push to break structure to the upside. And now Bitcoin has not only put in the higher low, but has also cracked a very, very key level of resistance sitting here at the POC of our range. Now, if you guys were in the live stream last night, you will know that as we look at our overall range here, which does sit between about $81,250 and $88,500, as we approach the value area low here, we did have a key level of support. It was our golden pocket retracement of this entire move to the upside, and we also had our value area low of the range. And you guys know when price comes down to that value area low, this is typically where we're looking for long positions, and we did actually wind up putting some nice bullish confirmations in here with those beautiful lower lows on price action here on our 4-hour time frame, with the higher lows on our momentum wave, giving us that bullish divergence, which oftentimes calls for a decent reversal to the upside, especially when it comes in at such a key level like the value area low. And this was a long setup in our premium Discord, guys, and unfortunately, as we set up over the weekend, I was not at the charts, so I did not catch my position here, so I'm just watching price come up here right now. But I wanted to drop this update just to give you guys my thoughts on where I think we could potentially see price go when it comes to our volume profile and just in general our long position that we were looking at down here. We look for price to come into those value area lows with those bullish confirmations in anticipation of coming up towards that point of control, and then eventually and hopefully getting that move above our POC for a continuation up through the entire profile to fill it in full, where we can now potentially target that $88,500 level, which is the value area high of the range. So if we do get that full fill of the range here, guys, we could potentially look for price to eventually make its way up to that value area high. But as we know, guys, when you move through a profile like this, it is not often that it happens in a straight line. You could even see back here, the last time we got a drop to that value area low, we got the bounce, we pushed up above that POC, but then we did wind up getting that correction back down to retest the POC before getting that continuation up towards our value area high. So I do just want to point out that the overall target for me is going to be the value area high around 88,000 to 88,500. And now that we've broken that POC, guys, as long as we are able to remain above that point of control, the doorway to the value area high does remain open. Now, obviously, we can't just anticipate it to immediately shoot up there, as we do have some local levels of resistance from our little mini volume profile that we created up here. So I want to go over with you guys those levels of resistance. But before we do that, I do want to talk about what we looked at to potentially anticipate this push to the upside, guys. Last night on the live stream, we were looking at a very, very specific signal, which was a Market Cypher B 1/16 strategy, where we have a higher time frame green dot. Yesterday's case was the 12 and the 16-hour green dots printing, with our lower time frames like the 1 hour and the 45-minute having the money flow crossover into the green. When you get those higher time frame green dots with those 1/16th lower time frames getting the money flow crossover into the green, usually that money flow crossover does indicate you will see a trend continuation to the upside. So we had that 12 and 16-hour green dot printing, and as we looked at last night on the live stream, you can see right here on this horizontal line, this is where we got that money flow crossover into the green, and that's where you're going to potentially anticipate a continuation of that trend to the upside. Now, we did not have that money flow crossover on the live stream, but we were looking at that as the signal that we needed to see this continuation of the trend if we wanted the opportunity to see this volume profile potentially play out in full. And you can see here on that 1 hour money flow crossover, we did indeed continue the trend to the upside, even with that liquidation wick into the Fibonacci levels to break structure to the upside, cracking above that point of control. So right now, guys, the most important level of support you must be watching is going to be the $84,000 point of control. We could potentially get retracements, but as long as we stay above here, we could potentially keep that door open to that value area high. And how nice would it be to see Bitcoin back at $88,000? I would personally love to see that. But as of right now, guys, just keeping it super simple, we are just within our range here. Got to the low, got to bounce off the value area low. We have the market cipher B116 strategy, giving us the idea that that uptrend could continue to the upside. And now here we are above that point of control. Now, obviously, like I said, we do have those key levels of resistance sitting here from our mini range. We also have some Fibonacci levels in here. So I want to talk about those because obviously, guys, the 2-day time frame is still giving us that money flow crossover into the red. So we do still have to be careful here of some potential chop or even continuations down to some other key levels. So I'm going to go over those with you right now. Now, number one, the first major levels we have to keep an eye on here, guys. We do have an anchored VWAP. Now, this anchored VWAP is pulled from the high here at about $99,500. And this has been a very, very important anchored VWAP, as every time we came up to it, we shot above it. Once we lost it, we got the bigger move down. We came up to try and get above it again, and then we got rejected back down to the value area low. We came up again. We tested it, got a push down towards the POC, tried to get above it, and then we got the next drop to the downside. This has been a very, very pesky anchored VWAP, guys. At the time of recording, this does come in at about $86,327. It's not just this anchored VWAP, guys. We have a lot of confluence in that $86,000 zone. So we have the anchored VWAP. We also have our Fibonacci retracement when pulled from the high here at 88.7 all the way down to the low. You can see that our golden pocket is pretty confluent with that anchored VWAP. And unfortunately, guys, that is not the only level of confluence we have. We also have a weekly horizontal level sitting in there as well. You can see that in all of its glory right here. And not only that, guys, but we also have the value area low of our previous range here sitting in that zone. This entire zone does sit between about $85,888 and $86,505. So if we are able to see this continuation up, I will be anticipating some kind of resistance at this zone. We may even be looking for scalp shorts here in the premium Discord. However, if our money flow stays in the green, remember context is king, and money flow always indicates the overall trend. So my thought process here is, hey, we have our larger range here with our value area high at around $88,000, where we also have a lot of liquidity sitting. And you can see that sitting right here on the heat maps, guys. You do have right above about $88,000. You do have a big chunk of liquidity up here, which won't only act as a magnet, but we can also use this as an opportunity to potentially look for some short positions if we are going to hit that major $88,000 target. But on the way up there, guys, we have to be really, really careful if we are going to see some turbulence. I would be expecting some kind of turbulence around that 85.9 to 86.5 level with the golden pocket, the weekly, the anchored VWAP, and the value area low. So if we do continue up, we could potentially see some turbulence there. But remember, as long as that money flow stays in the green on our key time frames with a hold of support on that POC, the doorway to the value area high does remain open. But I just want to point this out as some kind of an intermediary level of resistance that we might be able to look at for some opportunities to make a little bit of money on that retracement to the downside. And if it does wind up turning into some kind of a bigger dump, we do have a lot of news this week, so keep that in mind. But if we do wind up coming up there, we will just be looking at it as of right now as a retracement to capitalize on a scalp short before potentially continuing our trend to the upside through our local profile to eventually target that $88,000 level. And then again, if it does wind up breaking down, we'll be able to hold at least a portion of a short position if we're able to catch it up there. We'll be able to hold a portion of that if we do wind up getting that bigger move down. But I do want to be clear, this is not something that I'm looking at as a major swing level. This is just going to be looked at as a small position, right? Just like a little dip here or a little dip here. We're going to look to capitalize on that because obviously as the money flow continues into the green, you look for that trend to continue up. But if you can anticipate these little pullbacks, you can make a good little bag on these scalp short positions. So that's what I'm looking at up here at around $85,900. Again, leading up to about 86.5. And then once we're able to come up there, maybe we get a little retracement. And then once we're able to get up there, we have our 786 in our value area high. But at that point, guys, remember, we're just looking at this as a journey within our larger volume profile, guys. We are looking for this journey, hopefully in the bullish case with money flow continuing up to bring us to that $88,000 level. But as a day trader and a scalper, we have to keep in mind the local resistance levels because we don't necessarily just see this as headwinds for Bitcoin, but we also see it as opportunity to make some cash on those retracements. And if we don't get the bearish confirmations up here, we'll just let price fly up to that bigger level at $88,000. And it does sting a little bit, guys, that I missed my entry here, even though we had the setup there in the Discord. But I'm happy to let price run up into my next key level to then find another opportunity. There's opportunities on the chart all the time. You can't cry over missed gains, guys. If you're out there learning how to trade, just understand, do not chase price or fall victim to FOMO, because it's the quickest way to eat up your account and make you lose money over time. And also, guys, if we take a look at our higher time frames, I will just say, just like last night, we looked for the 1 hour money flow crossover to continue our trend up here. We also potentially have some more market cipher B116 strategies lining up, with our daily VWAP coming to the upside, potentially looking to print a green dot somewhat soon here. You can see that VWAP approaching the 0 line. Once we get that green dot on the daily, the next signal I will be watching is our 90-minute money flow, because if we're able to see that 90-minute money flow crack into the green, which it looks like it wants to do, that may be able to give us another opportunity. As we cool off, we might be able to see that next market cipher B116 strategy be the big sign to look at. If we can get a little potential pullback from the zone that we're near right now, we could look for that little retracement, and then if that money flow crosses into the green on the 90-minute with our daily green dot, we can then look at that the same way we looked at the 1 hour money flow crossover, giving us the continuation of the trend right here. We can look for that 90-minute money flow to continue the larger trend up to that value area high at $88,000, and a green dot would be nice assistance to drag us all the way back up there. Now, guys, remember, I am not just blindly expecting $88,000 to come in. That's why I'm looking at the key levels of resistance and why I'm open to taking shots at some short positions on the way up. And you can even see here, without our volume profile on the chart, you got the weekly, you got the anchored VWAP. This is going to be a very, very key level to flip. This anchored VWAP will likely move its way down as we come up, but once we're able to flip that anchored VWAP and that weekly, that could be a good sign to see that continuation. So, guys, this is what I'm looking at on the charts. Hopefully, we could get that $88,000 Bitcoin, and we do not just get hammered down from that local resistance for a bigger drop to the downside. But if that were to happen, guys, remember, we're just looking at that volume profile, guys. This is one thing I love about the volume profiles, guys, is it takes the emotion out of the trading, right? We don't care if everybody feels bearish as price comes down here. We know we're at a key level, and if price is undervalued, so to say, and we have bullish confirmations like we did here, we are always going to look for that move to the upside, regardless of the news, regardless of the bearish sentiment in the crypto space. We are just going to make our decisions based off the charts, and it has been paying out for us here in the CandleMafia. So if we do, for some reason, happen to get a big drop down, guys, and we lose this value area low, the next major key level I will be watching, and this will be the last level that I leave you guys with, will be the daily 786 confluence down here between $79,000 and $78,500. But as long as we remain above this POC, guys, all eyes on our macro range here. Let's see if we can continue our journey up towards that $88,000 target. So with all that being said, guys, that's all the time I got for today's quick market update. I just wanted to hop on here, give you guys the key levels and kind of what we were looking at last night. We did get the market cipher B116 set up to play out here. It was a little bit suspicious last night, but once you get that 1 hour money flow crossover, you simply look for that continuation to the upside. So, guys, I'll see you on the live stream at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's all the time I got for this video. If you're in profit, don't forget to take some money off the table. That's all I got. Frankie Candles out.
Here we go. At the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide.